Las Vegas law enforcement pulled over a Toyota Tundra on December the 23rd of 2021 after finding, through a license check, that its registration was suspended. The truck was later determined to have been stolen. The driver, who was subsequently identified as 57-year-old Eric Holland, initially stopped but then drove off. Officers followed him for about 3 miles until he pulled into a parking garage near the Rio Hotel and Casino. Holland emerged in another stolen truck, a Chevrolet Avalanche. The police realized that the vehicle was driven by the same suspect and pursued it for a few miles before Holland pulled over near the Orleans Casino. He disregarded officers' commands upon exiting the vehicle and tried to flee on foot, but was subdued with a taser. Law enforcement checked the vehicle and detected a foul odor coming from inside. They found a severed human head in a trash bag, as well as a torso and 2 legs in large coolers in the back. Following Holland's arrest on suspicion of murder, he initially tried to claim that the human remains were already inside the truck when he'd stolen it and that he hadn't known about them. However, the victim was identified as 65-year-old Richard Miller, a friend of his who'd been reported missing for about a month. He'd died from multiple gunshot wounds, one of which was to the head. Holland eventually admitted that he'd killed Miller but didn't elaborate on the motive beyond saying that they'd had an argument while both of them were armed. Holland claimed he tried to do right by him and bury Miller, but it was too difficult to move him as he stood at 6'4" and weighed 250 pounds. And so he decided to dismember his body. He was sentenced to a minimum of 18 and a maximum of 45 years in prison for second-degree murder and felony theft. Number 6. Melissa Bergman. Over a 2-day period in late July of 2018, Ohio woman Melissa Bergman stole multiple packages from her neighbor's doorsteps during what she'd later describe as a mental breakdown. At least one of the thefts was caught on surveillance video. The prolific porch pirate drove through her neighborhood and reportedly made off with 28 packages, but was ultimately convicted on 12 counts of theft. Bergman was sentenced to 180 days in Warren County Jail, but the remainder of her time was suspended after 30 days, and she'd remain on probation for 3 years following her release. While she was generally viewed as a bored suburban housewife, the 30-year-old claimed that her mental health had been severely affected by problems in her marriage and PTSD from her time in the military. Several months after the thefts, she told forensic psychologists interviewing her that God had told her to take the packages and give them to others. The judge presiding over her case was skeptical, noting that she hadn't done as purportedly commanded, but instead opened the items, threw away the packaging, and distributed their contents around her home. Bergman claimed that her husband, from whom she eventually separated, was very controlling and only wanted her to stay home and care for their 2 children. She pointed to the pressure of her failing marriage and the medication she'd taken for her severe PTSD as factors in the spree. Bergman reported that she'd been abused multiple times by different men during her time in the army, which included serving in Afghanistan from 2006 to 2008. The army didn't comment on the allegations. Number 5. Rokisha Lachey Brisby. From November of 2020 to March of 2022, a Texas woman was involved in a $3.3 million financial scheme while running a business that purported to help clients raise their credit score. 29-year-old Rokisha Lachey Brisby operated Rose Credit Repair in North Harris County, which claimed it would use the law to find common errors and improve credit scores by 50 to 100 points within 35 days or less. Law enforcement eventually learned that Brisby had fraudulently used dozens of items of identification, such as her client's ID, social security numbers, names, or dates of birth. She filed roughly 133 false reports that appeared to be coming from the police about the loss or theft of credit cards, even though most of her clients had never authorized her to do so. Brisby was reported to have obtained the original police report from a woman named Valerie Cobio and then copied it multiple times. She failed to reduce Cobio's credit, but the scam did temporarily work out for several of her other clients, as financial institutions would honor the police reports and reverse their credit. Brisby's operation unraveled when one of the banks contacted law enforcement and the discrepancies emerged. officers raided Rose Credit Repair on July the 7th of 2022 and arrested Brisby on charges of forgery and fraudulent use of personal information. She faced anywhere from 5 to 99 years in prison. Number 4. Incident in Texcoco. A would-be mugger paid a heavy toll in late July of 2020 after he'd targeted a bus in Texcoco, Mexico. 2 thieves were caught by the vehicle surveillance camera attempting to enter while it was stopped at a station. The driver sped off upon hearing the commotion. One of the men, who was believed to have been armed, wasn't able to get on the bus while his partner had made it inside, demanding money and grabbing a cell phone belonging to one of the 6 male passengers. The thief then rushed for the open door but quickly realized the bus was already in motion. A man near the door grabbed his arm and stopped him from getting out. The thief turned around and tried to punch him, at which point he was charged by all the passengers aboard and dragged to the ground. The men relentlessly punched and kicked him for an extended period of time as he begged for mercy. As the brutal beatdown was unfolding, the driver continued on his route. He'd tried stopping the vehicle, presumably so that the men could throw the thief out, but they prevented him from leaving. They continued to curse, stomp, and strike him, ripping his tank top off in the process. The bus eventually reached a stop in the municipality of Los Reyes de la Paz. What followed was captured by a vehicle following the bus. 3 men dragged the thief out, one of whom soccer kicked him in the head, briefly rendering him unconscious. Before they left the scene, another pulled the thief's pants off, leaving him naked in the street and barely moving from the multitude of strikes he'd sustained. It wasn't clear if the incident was reported to the police, but footage of it went viral. Number 3. Stephanie Beaudoin. In 2014, Stephanie Beaudoin was arrested for leading a gang of youths that broke into multiple homes in Quebec, Canada. Within the span of several months, her crew burglarized over 40 houses and made off with items totaling an estimated $58,000. Beaudoin, who was then in her early 20s, was arrested after her white Mitsubishi Lancer with custom pink rims had been spotted at multiple crime scenes. As soon as she was taken into custody, the former nursing student asked for permission to delete her Facebook, fearing that her photos would incriminate her, but was denied. It ultimately worked in her favor, as Beaudoin would subsequently become internationally known as the world's most attractive thief. She'd done some calendar modeling prior to her arrest, but when news of her crime spree broke, her online photos went viral. While stealing had gone wrong for her in terms of her criminal record and legal punishment, it also proved a launching pad for her modeling career. As she received multiple contract offers, she was eventually recruited by B Models Management in 2015. Early the following year, Beaudoin was sentenced to 90 days in jail, which she only had to serve on weekends for the burglary spree. A judge allowed her to pursue the opportunities that came with her newfound fame, but forbade her from using her past as a thief to promote herself as a model. Beaudoin told a media outlet that she couldn't advertise a product as Stephanie the Criminal and described the ruling as a pretty okay condition. Number 2. Wesley Sousa de Araujo. Brazilian thief Wesley Sousa de Araujo and an accomplice approached 2 women in Aquilândia in the country's west. They cornered them on a motorbike and demanded they hand over their cell phones. One of the victims was professional MMA fighter and advanced Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner Monique Bastos, who at the time had 6 fights on her record. After one of the thieves had grabbed her phone, 23-year-old Bastos realized that they weren't armed, so she knocked down their motorbike. She'd later tell a media outlet, "I wasn't afraid, I knew I could immobilize them." His accomplice fled, but Araujo, the driver, didn't get a chance to escape as Bastos took him down. She then placed him in a rear naked choke before transitioning to a triangle choke, which involved trapping his head and arm with her legs. An onlooker recorded the incident on their phone. As Bastos applied pressure to his neck, Araujo started crying, asking for his mum and daddy, while also pleading with people to call the police. He exclaimed, "Help! Jesus! I swear it was the first time I've ever done this! Help! Lord, somebody help me!" Bastos held Araujo in the lock for roughly 20 minutes until the police arrived to take him into custody. While at the local police station, he reportedly denied trying to rob the women. Number 1. R. Papa Rao. A video out of India went viral in the spring of 2022 of a thief who'd gotten stuck while trying to escape a temple he'd burglarized in Jadimudi village, Andhra Pradesh. The suspect, who was named as 30-year-old R. Papa Rao, was reported to have drilled a hole into the Jami Elama temple wall in order to steal the silver ornaments inside. Rao's actions were reportedly fueled by his alcohol addiction. He got trapped halfway in the opening on the way out and started pleading with bystanders to free him. They instead filmed the thief as he desperately tried to wiggle out and alerted the authorities. When officers arrived at the scene, they opened the temple and pushed Rao out from the other end of the hole. He was then taken into custody and booked for trespassing. Thanks for watching. Would you rather be caught taking money from the church collection box or literally stealing candy from a baby? Let us know in the comments section below.